us. Coach uh, but she played Division II, was an all academic conference player, and is now going into her second year as a head coach at Presentation, and going to give us a little more information. So if you guys do have questions, feel free to raise your hand, or I can see everybody. Well, I can see the people that have their cameras on, so you can wave us down and ask a question. But we're going to chat probably 20-25 minutes or so. But if you guys have questions, feel free to ask away. So Coach, do you just want to maybe give a little bit more detail of your background and kind of how you got the presentation?
Sure. And if anyone has questions, just go ahead and shoot them out at me. Like I'm ready to answer anything that you have. I started out when I was done with my eligibility. The coach that I played for kind of asked me to stay on. So I had a very unique opportunity where there was a graduate assistant position open when I was done. So sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. So it was kind of a rare opportunity. I didn't know that I wanted to get into coaching. It was just kind of something that was asked of me by the coach that I played for in college. And once I got into it and once I got started, just got kind of hooked on it. So spent the first few years of my coaching career being an assistant at the Division II level for the coach that I played for. It took me to Southwest Minnesota State and Marshall, Minnesota, and then it also took me to Adams State College, which is in Alamosa, Colorado. And then from there, got a head coaching job, got my first head coaching job at Iowa Lakes Community College. So I've kind of coached every level. I've coached a large 4A school in high school. I've coached junior college. I've coached NCAA Division II. And then now I just finished my first year as a head coach of the NAIA level. We used to be Division II NAIA, but I'm sure like a lot of you know, NAIA is now all one division. So we're all considered Division I now, because we no longer have those split divisions. We're just all one division. So I would say after coaching all of those different levels, NAIA is an awesome option. I enjoy it because it is a lot of smaller schools. So you really get to build that family atmosphere. You really get to build that relationship with your student athletes and the actual entire higher education community that you work at. And like Coach Miner and I were just talking about, you get a lot more interaction with your coach. So there's not a lot of out of season rules, except for this summer. This summer we have a lot of restrictions, but purely because of what pandemic situation that we are in. But for the most part, you get to have a lot of interaction with your student athletes and your coach. So you really get to build that camaraderie with your teammates year round, and you get to build that relationship with your head coach and your entire coaching staff because you get to spend a lot of time with them. So
that's awesome. Tell us a little bit more about the NAIA. So NAIA has scholarship money, right? So you get to give scholarships. And like you said, you can work with the kids outside.
There's a lot of scholarship options at NAIA levels. So a lot of times they are private schools. A lot of them are faith-based, but that type of school or whatever is kind of just specific to each school. So you get a lot of options scholarship-wise. We have athletic scholarships. We also have large academic scholarships. So if you are a student athlete who does a really good job in the classroom and you are talented in basketball or in your sport, you can get a very quality education for little to no money. Even though when you start looking at certain NAIA schools, the price tag right away and initially seems really high. That is very true. But with all the scholarship opportunities that NAIA allows for you to have and allows for you to stack on top of each other, it actually becomes a very affordable route for people to go. And so then you get that quality education and you get a really good experience with your coach because you can kind of develop that relationship over 4 years and really spend a lot of time with your coaching staff.
Absolutely. And just along that, that's not all NAIAs are small. I know the one that
Right.
I coached out previously had about 7,000 students and was a state
Yeah.
school. So there is a variety, but predominantly they are faith-based smaller schools.
Yeah, and
Um,
it kind of all depends on the region, like the region of the country that you're
mhm.
at. So like California, has a lot of state schools that are still NAIA, and they're large schools and they're state schools and they're NAIA. I think for like our region, which is the Midwest, predominantly in the Midwest, a lot of ours are private, um, faith-based institutions, but like we also have Dakota State in our conference that is a state school and has a fairly decent sized student population. So it just kind of all depends on where you're at and the school that you're looking at.
Tell us why we're on that. Tell us where you're at. Tell us where
Okay.
Aberdeen is and talk to them a little bit about
Okay.
the locations. I know they're from Texas to Hawaii
Yeah,
to
for
Oregon.
sure.
Where is Presentation?
So Presentation College is in Aberdeen, South Dakota. It is in the northeast corner of South Dakota. So if you are familiar with like Omaha, Nebraska, it is straight north of Omaha, Nebraska. It is northeast of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I would say that Aberdeen is considered a mid-sized city. It is the third largest city in South Dakota. However, South Dakota is not the most populated state in the country. So we have about 30,000 people. It is a high attended sports town. This town loves their sports, loves women's basketball. So we get a lot of people in the community involved in what we do. So I like to tell kids, you're kind of like a big fish in a lake. We're not a pond. We're not like, but we're definitely not a river. So we're like, you're a big fish in a lake. You will get stopped in the grocery store and people will congratulate you on your game. They will talk to you about your game. They will talk to you about the program and all those types of things. But you're definitely going to get the attention being a hooper in Aberdeen, because they just love it. They can't get, I don't know if it's because it's during the winter and there's not a lot to do because there's a lot of snow, so everybody just comes to games. But they really do love their hoops here, both men's and women's hoops. Presentation is a faith-based institution. We were founded by the Catholic Sisters of Presentation, but we are not we don't push the faith on anyone. We are open to all faiths. We have like 2 culture classes that you take as part of your curriculum, but it's definitely not pushed on anybody. We're just kind of open. We welcome everybody, but it is who we are. Our top majors are nursing, pre-med, and criminal justice. So on our team, we have a lot of nurses, pre-med, and I have like 3 or 4 criminal justice and pre-law student athletes. So I would say those 3 are probably our top 3 majors, but we do have business, communications, sports management, all that type of stuff. So we do have a lot of different majors, but we are a predominantly health sciences, criminal justice school.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. I know.
Yeah.
You said, well, we probably know. I didn't know. I don't know quite where Omaha is, or
Okay.
I was a little surprised. You're northeast of St. Paul.
I'm sorry, northwest of
Northwest.
Minneapolis.
Okay,
Northwest.
I got you.
My
I
fault.
got you then. 'Cause you said north. I think you said north.
I'm sorry,
And I was
northwest.
picturing. I was like,
No,
little tricky.
we're northeast South Dakota, but northwest of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Yeah.
Got it. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. I know we have some guys on the call, some ladies on the call.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about recruiting, kind of in general. What type of things you look for? How do you evaluate? And kind of talk to us a little bit about your recruiting for these players.
So recruiting has like taken a major loop kind of right now just because of the situation that we're in. And so it has been a lot of online, a lot of more social media involved than I've experienced in the past. But what I will say for a lot of kids, like for you, I always tell like student athletes when they're looking at a school, like you need to find the right coach, the right program, and the right school that fits you. So you might want to take some time to figure out like what you are looking for in a program, what you are looking for in a school, and kind of make sure that you stay true to those things that you like, because level is great, and like level for to a point kind of matters, but you want to make sure at the end of the day that you have a wonderful experience. Your college years are supposed to be impactful, they're supposed to be fun, they're supposed to be memorable. And if you choose your decision purely based off level, you're going to sacrifice experience and relationships and those things that in the long run mean the most. So kind of take some time to determine what you really want to get out of your experience in college and like what type of education you want to get. Because while we would all love to play professional and love to never hang up the jersey, eventually that is going to happen. So you're going to have to fall back on your education and the things that were outside of hoops, because you are going to want to do something outside of playing basketball, because our bodies just don't last as long as we would like them to. So kind of take some time as you're thinking about your like future, what you're kind of looking for in your program. And then do your best to try and get your name out, target schools that really kind of fit those things that you look for, watch coaches, learn about coaches, and kind of get the feel of what kind of coach would be the best fit for you, so that you're not just chasing a level and then choose a program and a coach, and then 2 years down the road, you're just miserable. Because I always tell kids, for us, like, you have to be just as much a fit for us as we have to be a fit for you. Because if it's not a joint fit, it's never going to work, regardless of how much everybody tries to make it work and tries to make it fit. And it doesn't always mean that the highest level is the best fit. I know that like I had goals of going Division I, and I really wanted to, and I ended up going Division II, and I'm so thankful because I had a wonderful experience and had great teammates that I still talk to, a coach that I still talk to. And I know in retrospect, if I would have just chased that Division I dream, I would not have had the same experience and had the great relationships that I have. And then film is very, very important, and not just a highlight film, like a full game film. Even if people send me a highlight film, I will always reply back if I watch the highlight film and I'm intrigued and I like it, and I will reply back and always say, okay, can I have a full game film? Because as coaches, if you have a highlight film and you like show all the best things, like that's great. But for a lot of us, for coaches, I want to see reactions to mistakes. I want to see reactions to getting subbed out. I want to see how you act in timeouts. I want to see how you act with your teammates, because those kind of intangible things, like that is how you are going to act with us and with our team. And if it doesn't fit, I'm not going to want to bring that student athlete in that doesn't fit like the culture and the buy-in and the things that we've already set in place years before they got here. So I'm always going to try and ask for a full game film. When I go recruiting, I go early. I don't always tell kids that I'm coming, because I want to watch them warm up. I want to watch them at halftime. I want to watch them when their coaches talk to them. Are they hanging their head? Are they making eye contact? Are they talking to their teammates? Because a lot of times it's those intangible things that will tell you whether a student athlete will fit into your program or not. And because skills we can all teach. As coaches, we know that. We wouldn't have these head coaching positions if we couldn't teach skills. So if you have the talent and you have the drive to be a college student athlete, we know that. But it's all of those little intangible things that we noticed and we're looking for to fit into our program that we know will either fit or not fit. So just know, as you're getting older and as coaches are watching you, like they are watching everything that you do. I've watched kids, I've even like, this may sound a little bit creeper, but I've even watched kids and followed kids after a game to see how they talk to their parents. Like, how do they treat their parents after a loss? How do they talk to their mom after a loss or talk to their dad? If they are rude and disrespectful, to me, that shows like when we get in locker room and it's a tough loss and we have to have a tough conversation, are they going to be rude and disrespectful, or are they going to be respectful and take what we're trying to do as a team and be positive and progress and move on? So it's all of those things. So just know, as you're getting older and as you're getting into this recruiting process, coaches are always watching, and coaches always talk, whether I'm there or not. If another coach that is in our conference or that I knows that I'm looking at a kid and they're at the game, they will text me and say like, yep, you're right. Like, this kid can play, great attitude, hustles, plays hard. Or they will say like, hey, you might want to take another look. We always talk. As college coaches, we are always talking. We are always networking and building relationships with each other and talking about recruiting, talking about kids, talking about teams, all that type of stuff. So when you're on the recruiting trail and like you're playing in these recruiting tournaments, everybody is watching you all the time.
I can't echo that enough. I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, Coach, I try to show up early and watch warm-ups. Because if the kid's just kind of like in their own world, you know, if a kid warms up with a hoodie on and earbuds, I'm not interested.
Right.
And if a kid, like you said, that's one thing I definitely notice is how does he treat his mom?
Mm-hmm.
If he snaps back or says, Mom, stop embarrassing me, or just treats his mom less than like he should, that's a quick way to get crossed off a recruiting list. So
for sure.
And like you said, coaches always talk because we're always networking, meeting people, and you know, it's so true.
It is. And we're always watching. And you guys have to understand, like, as college coaches, like, this is our job. This is our livelihood, right? So like, if we don't do our job well, then we don't have a job. So we can't pay our mortgage. We can't pay our bills. We can't take care of our kids. We can't take care of our family. So we are putting like our jobs on the line with you. Like, we are pretty much putting our job in your hands with your conduct, with your attitude, like all of those things, how you're going to be in the classroom. That is a representation of everything about the program, and that's a representation of us. So if there's anything that is kind of questionable or this, that, or the other, we're always going to just take a second. And if it's between, like, we have lists, right? Like, people always ask me, how do I get on your list? How do I get on your list? Well, there's 3 or 4 people per position on our list. So if it's like the kids are all equally talented, but one has a bad attitude, or one like threw their water bottle at their mom and was like, fill this up. Those are easy things when we're trying to figure out who we're going to offer and who we want to bring in on official visits and who we want to invest money and time into. Those are things that make it easy for us to be like, okay, yep, like, we're just going to have to move on and like let them know that it's not a fit. So it's not always about, don't get caught up in, well, I didn't play well, or I didn't score all these points, or I didn't do that. Sometimes that's really not even what we're looking at. We know you can play. If we engage with you and we talk with you and we're building a relationship with you, we know you can play the game. It's all the other stuff that we need to know if you are going to be a good fit or not. So whether you put up huge stats or you have a great game in front of us, not all the time is what we are looking for. It's all of that intangible stuff that we are watching to make sure that we can trust you within our program for 4 years.
So true. So true. It's not just, you can have a bad game, but if a coach disrespects me, or if a kid's just like bummed out, maybe they won. I've been in games where a team wins and the kid doesn't play well, and I'm trying to talk to them and they're kind of like, it's like, that's not going to help your case.
Right. It's not at all. And like, I drove a long time to watch one kid play, and she didn't play well, and she was embarrassed and she was upset, but she like ran and picked up her teammate every time they fell. Her younger sister was on the team, and her younger sister had a great game, and she was pumped up. She fouled out with 5.5 minutes left to go in the game. She was waving her towel. She was engaged the entire time. And that kid went from like 3 or 4 on our list to almost the top, purely because of how she reacted in this game, where she did everything that she could to be a positive leader for her team, even though she wasn't playing well and she didn't score a lot and she didn't shoot the ball well. She even shot 2 air balls and was just like so embarrassed. And I just kept telling her, like, you did everything as a leader that you could do. And So scoring points wasn't your role tonight, and it wasn't your job. You had to do all those other things, dive for loose balls, get excited when your younger sister had a great play. And that will do, can still impact the game, and you can still make an impression on a coach without shooting the ball super well or scoring a lot of points or having this great game in front of us. You can do a lot of other things that are impressive.
I feel like I'm kind of preaching to the choir. I don't know if you guys know that expression, but I feel like I'm saying this. I was going to say the same stuff you're saying, Coach, and I don't want to just make it sound like I'm just agreeing with everything you say, but I do agree with everything you say, because that is all the stuff that we talk about. Is if I come to watch you play, I probably know you're good enough. Now I'm looking for to cross you off my list. And like you said, it's risky for us as coaches to recruit players. So if I'm recruiting a kid like Kenji and you're not, you come in and you shoplift. That's me. I get in trouble. I get fired. Or worse, if you hit your girlfriend or cheat on tests or do stupid stuff, like we lose our jobs. So I always try to tell kids it's risky. So I'm going to do all my research. Also, I just want to touch on social media. It can help you or hurt you. You did say that you're recruiting a lot on social media, but if it's all, oh, I had 28, me, that's gonna turn off some coaches.
Right.
But if you're like, hey, I want to give a shout out to my teammate. He had 8 assists tonight, and it was a team win, and you're putting up motivational quotes, but if you like stuff, sometimes on Twitter something will pop up on my feed, and I'm like, what is this? And they'll say, Megan Jordan liked this. Yeah. And I'll be like, whoa, just obviously not true. I know Megan wouldn't be, Miss Jordan wouldn't be doing stuff she shouldn't be. But so be careful about what you like, who you follow, all that stuff, because it is so much more than just the basketball. And it's so much, if I'm going to recruit somebody, I want to be around somebody I like.
Exactly.
So that's a part of it. Right? It's a part of it. It's not the only thing I look for, because obviously if a kid's really good, they're able to have a little bit more risk involved in taking them. But if I don't like talking to a kid, so even after a loss, try to say, hey, thank you so much. Be polite, be respectful, and have some personality. And I know that's not easy for some kids because some kids are used to just texting, but step out of your comfort zone. Practice saying hi, saying hello to people, even when you don't feel like it. Because there's always times I don't feel like being happy and positive, but when I'm talking to people, I can't really fake it, or I have to fake it, I guess. Because you can't nobody wants to be around an Eeyore. You guys ever raise your hand if you've heard of Winnie the Pooh? Okay. Do you know who Eeyore is? Do you know Eeyore and Tigger? Tigger's the one that's always like bouncing around, like, let's go. Hey, Pooh, where are we going? Let's go. And Eeyore's always like, hi, Pooh. So be more like that Tigger. So have some energy when a coach reaches out and talks to you. Stretch your comfort zone. Look them in the eye. Say yes, coach. No, coach. Thank you. Be appreciative, because if you have a coach come watch you play, you've already beat the odds.
Yeah. And it's okay to be nervous. And you can even say Coach, I'm a little nervous. Even if you kids say that to me, then I can break the ice and we can help you out. Cause it's also nerve wracking for us too. It's not the most comfortable thing for us as coaches to walk up to a junior or senior in high school and be like, hey, how are you? And try and show our personality and who we are off in a quick 2 seconds. It's nerve wracking for us also. Recruiting phone calls are nerve wracking for us too, because if you're nervous and you're just answering, yep, nope, it was okay. We're on the other end of the phone, okay, I got to get this kid to talk. I got to get, we're just as nervous as you are. And there's just as much as anxiety, for us too. So even if you're quiet and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not going well, you can say I'm a little nervous or this, that, or the other. It'll help break the ice with us. But if you just put your head down and don't talk, it doesn't allow us to show you our personality, and then we don't get to see your personality, which that's another way you're going to be able to decide whether that school and that coach is going to be a great fit. Because you got to think about it. Like, it's a 4-year commitment. That's probably the biggest commitment you guys will ever make before you're 18 for anything. So it is an important decision. And so you want to make sure it is the right fit. Well, the only way you're going to know that is by actually engaging in a conversation with us and letting it flow, so you can really see who we are, and then we can see who you are, which is just as important. And we know you guys are outgoing, and we know you guys talk, because we'll watch you 5 minutes before you meet us gabbing it up and chopping it up and having a great time with your friends. Like, we know you're social. So you just kind of break the ice or as much as you can when you're talking to us.
I agree with that. That is funny, because you do see kids in there. And like you said, though, if you say, hey, I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to, that's okay. And it is okay to
totally
be
fine.
nervous. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared, but it's detrimental to not be prepared. So practice. If you have a high school coach, everybody has a high school coach. If you have an AAU coach, everybody has an AAU coach. Talk to them, role play it, that, like, practice. And that's where recruiting, I'm getting a lot of emails right now. So how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? Maybe you make a phone call and leave a message, concise, practiced, rehearsed speech, like a 30-second, hey, here's who I am. Here's why I'm calling. I would love to talk to you. Just make sure it's practiced. And if a coach does pick up, make sure you're ready to ask a question. Make sure you're ready. If I say, do you have any questions? And they say, nope. I'm like, okay, that kid's not. So have like a go-to, so tell me about your culture, or how do you develop your culture? Have like a go-to question or two that you can use. So that way it's not awkward where you're like, okay, well, I guess that's the end of this discussion, because you know everything you need to know, right? So make sure you have a question ready, a question or two. Make sure you're prepared, because like I said, it's okay to be nervous. It's all right to be scared, but it's detrimental to not be prepared. And that goes with on the floor. That goes with everything in life. And that's my best friend John Willis's quote, that it's all right to be nervous. It's okay to be scared, but it's detrimental to not be prepared. So I believe success is when preparation meets opportunity. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, you're preparing for when this opportunity comes. And this is a pretty laid back environment. So this is a time to practice, like coach. That's why Coach and I get along, is just the positive energy radiates from Coach Bullock. And that's something that I feed off of. And now we're both like so excited. We're both kind of shouting and talking loud and getting excited, but that's because this is something that is important to us. And hopefully you guys are taking something away. And Coach, I really appreciate your time. So do you guys have any questions? Now this is your chance to step out, and you can unmute yourself. Okay, Megan, unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi, I was wondering what type of coaching style you have.
So I have a pretty interactive coaching style. I ask a lot of questions, and they are not rhetorical. Like, I genuinely want a response. I like to think of myself as a teacher, a mentor, and like somebody to help guide young women to go from being young adults to grown adults to prepared for everything that will happen in life. So practice, like if you were to watch practice, you would see I talk a lot, but I ask a lot of questions. Like, we don't run set plays. So if something happens and like our offense falls apart, I'll stop it and say, okay, stop and explain to me why you did this. Not because I think they did it wrong or because I'm trying to get after them. I'm trying to understand the thought process so then I can help them. Okay, so I understand what you saw, but this is more of what fits our offense and that type of stuff. So I am loud. I am a redhead, so I'm intense. I'm competitive. I'm the coach on the sideline that if there's like an and one, I will jump, fist pump, and yell like in excitement. I am that coach. But I'm also like, we are a family. I care about each and every single one of the kids. I get to know them. I get to know their families. When their families come to games, I'm the first person running up and giving them a hug. So it's kind of that balance of we work hard, but we play hard and we enjoy each other on and off the floor. And, we just kind of have that relationship. I talk to a lot of my players even after they graduate. I job references, all of those things we do. So, some people are like, oh, I'm a player's coach. I'm kind of that way, but I see it more as a mentor leadership, and kind of my job is to prepare you for life, both on and off the floor. But my job really on the floor is to push you and make you the best basketball player that you ever thought you could be, and then some. And so I am loud, intense, energetic. I get excited. Like if we're in practice and we're doing a shooting drill and we get like 3 or 4 in a row, I'm, woohooing and yelling on the sideline. So that's kind of my style.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great question, Megan. Good job. Way to step up, girl. Let's go. Emily, what do you got?
What size like coaching staff do you guys have?
Did you say what size?
Yeah.
So right now we have a coaching staff of 3. So it's myself, and then Coach Amy Burmeister is the assistant coach. It was very important for me to have an all-female staff, especially when we were taking over this program, because we just took over a program that had a lot of disarray, a lot of camaraderie problems. We did not get along. So I just felt like it would be important for these young women to see 2 young women lead and get along and build kind of that camaraderie. And then we just added a 3rd. And it's actually the coach that I played for. He retired, but I convinced him to come help me part-time. So we have Coach Kelly Kruger, who's helping out, and he's just a veteran. He's been doing this for forever, and he's really just there kind of as a grandfather type to help them with some things, and then also to help me be better, because he's just that third eye to say, hey, coach, you should try this, or coach, you need to adapt to this. So he's kind of there for that. So we have 3.
And how did you guys deal with like the issues on the team when people weren't getting along?
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot, and it was very evident. Like we would have team meetings, and people would sit across, like they wouldn't sit at a table together. They would like pull tables apart and sit at different tables. And I would walk in, and I'm like, "What is this?" No. So I would make them move the tables together, and then we just did a lot of things unbasketball related. So we did. Like I would surprise them. They would think they were coming in for conditioning, and I would have an obstacle course set up and bandanas, and I would partner them up, and they would blindfold their partner, and they had to talk their partner through the obstacle course. So we did like very elementary basic things, but it taught them how to communicate with each other, and it taught them how to enjoy each other. We had a lot of team meals. I like to cook. So if you come play for us, you have to be able to eat. You have to like to eat, because I like to cook, so we like to eat. So we had team meals. We carved pumpkins. We did volunteering with the Boys and Girls Club together. So just like little things completely unrelated to basketball, so that we could just enjoy each other as humans. And it took a long time. So we got everybody together like in August, and I don't think we really like understood and got it in like January. And it was every week we did 2 or 3 things. We also had what's called Truth Tuesday. And I took this from Sherry Cole. It was a Tuesday meeting, and you got to speak your truth. So we had different themes for every Truth Tuesday, and you just had to speak your truth. And we really got to know each other on a personal level that allowed us to understand how we each operated and how we kind of did things, so that, one way that like I reacted, nobody took it the wrong way or thought I was being disrespectful. It was just how I react to things. And so it just helped us understand each other. So yeah, it was a lot. It was very challenging. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job. Well, if anybody else has one, Coach, would you mind giving them your social media information?
Yeah. So
You want me to type it in the chat?
Yeah, that'd be great. So
Okay.
I think Twitter and Instagram are both the same. It's just at Coach N Bullock. So it's N for Nicole and then Bullock, just like Sandra Bullock, the actress, which I wish I was related to her, but I'm really not. It's
Which
just
is
spelled the same.
Bullock.
Yes. Yes. Yep, right there. And I think that's for both my Twitter and my Instagram are both that.
Awesome. Well, Coach, I really appreciate, and no technical difficulties, at least not on my end. I
I
heard you loud
know.
and clear.
I'm so excited.
We got through the whole conversation without getting cut off. So I really
Loved
appreciate
it.
you coming back and chatting it up with me again. And definitely a lot of
Absolutely.
good information there. And hopefully the girls took away some stuff because I know I did. Truth Tuesdays.
Truth Tuesday.
Speak your truth. And you bring in a topic or the
So,
question.
yeah, at the beginning, we brought in topics or we brought in questions for them to answer to speak their truth because it was new, right? And nobody was very comfortable with anybody. So that's the coaching staff, we kind of kicked it off. But I think starting this next year, it's going to be completely student athlete led. So I won't have to do that anymore. But it takes, you girls know it's not easy to open up to other females. It's difficult. And so we were trying to break those barriers of being intimidated or being nervous around other females. We were just trying to break those barriers. So we started with themes. And now that they're used to it and now they know what happens on Tuesday, we have Truth Tuesday, captains and leaders will be able to just kind of lead it and we won't have to have the themes anymore. But at the beginning, nobody wanted to talk. So we kind of had to start with themes and as coaches break the ice. But it was awesome. It ended up being the most amazing. I learned so many things about our team, about our kids, personalities, how they operate. It was super beneficial for me. And then you watched them grow and come together and it was amazing.
That's great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks again, Coach. I really do appreciate your time and sharing
Yeah,
with
thanks
these
for having me.
guys and girls. And hopefully you guys got something. I'm going to go ahead and you guys can unmute if you want to say goodbye or thank you. I'm going to stop